good fighter without ever having practiced a form, a kata, self-defense techniques. You can certainly be a good fighter without all that. But you really can't be a good martial artist without that. And I differentiate the two. Now you see, even the most brutal martial arts styles, and I'm talking the old styles, I'm not talking the new combined styles, but even the old brutal warfare styles had their exercises. See, the word kata in Japanese literally just means form or shape. It is a stylized enactment of certain exercises, movements, strategies. And there within the kata lies principles and ideas. It gives you something to practice when you do not have a training partner. It gives you some purpose and an objective. It gives you a moment of meditation. And I would wager those who do not practice kata in some way, shape, or form are severely missing out on part of their martial arts culture. Now, once again, you can be a fine fighter without ever having practiced kata. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. There are plenty of ways to fight, to wage war, to carry on cranky without ever having practiced any type of form. And that's okay. If your end result is simple, functional violence management, then get to brass tacks and go about it and do it. That's fine. If you're in law enforcement or security or military or whatever, you don't really have time through your training program and whatnot to spend the years, the decades that it takes to really experience and perfect, as it were, what it means to truly be a martial artist by more traditional definitions. Now, you've heard me say this before, and I will continue to say it. Tradition is a prison. It certainly is a prison when you follow it for the sake of tradition. When you simply follow in the footsteps of a tradition because that tradition actually was created for something and makes sense and is still relevant, then you're no longer following it because it's tradition. It just happens to be tradition and you're doing it because it makes sense. Unfortunately, because of the sporting nature, the sporting evolution of martial arts over the last few decades, the last century, the idea of kata has been greatly tarnished, has been greatly changed away from what it was initially meant to be. And that's sad. Not to say that the sporting forms aren't attractive. I mean, they're highly athletic, they're sharp, they're sexy, they look good. But the functionality is no longer there because that's not the focus anymore. Now they just teach forms to teach movement and because it's tradition. But they are so much deeper than that. If you study a style that doesn't have any of its own forms, that's fine, but you can create one. But you have to really look back deep into the culture of why forms were created in the first place. Exercise, shadowboxing, meditation, strategy, principles. And there's others, but you have to understand that at least those 5 things must be present to make a form whole and complete and do what it's meant to do. You can create one around basics, you can create one around intermediates, you can create one around just footwork, you can create one around just kicking, just punching. You can do what you want with it. There's nobody saying that you have to follow the forms of a specific style. That would be foolish as well. But the idea is there that shadowboxing's okay, but there's more to it than that. And if you're living the lifestyle of a martial artist, when you're taking the time to invest in the culture and the lifestyle of what it is to be a martial artist, forms are part and parcel of the bag. I mean, they just are. So don't only learn to love them, but learn to understand them, learn how to read them. They are written in their own special language, and it takes time to learn how to decipher them, and honestly, it probably takes a good teacher as well. I'm going to cut my rant off here. Just consider forms for a little while. I'll talk to you guys later. Good journey.